Hi everyone, I just took shot number 7, so that means we have completed week 6. So with 6 weeks in the bag, a total loss of 11.8 pounds. I'm better from COVID. I started back on my exercise program. This week I lost 2.6 pounds, which is pretty darn good. So I'm glad I'm past all that. I still feel that most of the weight that was not coming off when I was COVID had to do with the salt quantity I was eating. It was not a high calorie diet, but it wasn't very healthy and it was very high in salt. So I do think that was probably just a lot of salt. So back on the diet, lost some more inches, primarily off my neck and my waist and my stomach, and slowly off the rest of the thing. So we're on a good track. The other bit of news is that I started having low blood sugar, which is a new thing for me. I have had high blood sugar for as long as I could remember. It was high, but not diabetic for a long time. And then it hit the diabetes stage of things. This past 2 weeks, I go to the gym and I come back and I'm not feeling hot, or maybe I'm just like a little weak or something like that. Started taking my blood sugar, and sure enough, my blood sugar was low. So now I'm having to monitor that I make sure I eat something right after gym, or I'm planning on going on some bigger bike rides. It's something I used to do when I was losing weight the first time. I could knock out pretty easily 15, 20, 25 mile bike ride. And I loved doing it. I have a bike trail that was right by my office. Now I work remotely, so that has been a hurdle for me to get there, right? You go to work and all your clothes are there. You change into your biking clothes. Your bike is in the car. And right at the end of work, you go directly to the trail. You don't go home. I told myself, you have to go to the trail. You don't have to bike. Or you have to get on the bike, but you don't have to go very far. Just try it. See what you feel. And I would say 80% of the time, I knocked out at least 15 miles. I'm trying to get back into that. I love that bike trail. It's a very easy bike trail to go on because there's only a couple of traffic lights, and so you don't feel threatened by cars or anything like that. So I love it, and I'm trying to get back into that. But I'm thinking with the lower blood sugar, I'm going to have to focus a little bit on making sure that I don't kind of tank out. You know, if I do a 15-mile bike ride, I have knocked out on bigger bike rides 400 or 500 calories before. What happens if I'm eating a smaller amount of calories and then I go to the bike ride? Or even worse, I go to, well, not worse, but I go to the gym in the morning, I work all day, and then I go on a long bike ride after work. I could really start seeing myself getting a bit weak, I guess, or hypoglycemia is what they call it. That's new for me. So I have some gummies and some things like that just in case I start feeling not so hot. The good news is, back on track. I'm back on track on losing weight. I've been using an app called Happy Scale. I'm going to do a review of that for another podcast. I'll put the links in the video link sometimes so you can read it. But what it does is it sort of smooths out your weight loss. You know, some days you eat a little bit more salt and maybe you go up 0.2 pounds. And then the next day you don't eat so much salty things and then you drop 0.6. And what it does is it tries to create a straight line. So you don't get so frazzled about the ups and the downs, but you can see a general trend down. The other nice thing that it does is it breaks your entire weight loss program into 10 achievable goals. So in my case, I wanted to lose, I think, 114 pounds. So essentially, there are 11.4 goals I have. And so it tries to make it a little bit more exciting. I said in my podcast before that if you're having a huge amount of weight to lose, can you just give yourself the goal of losing 1 pound or 5 pounds, something that's more achievable, and you just keep giving yourself that goal over and over instead of sometimes when you say, oh, I got to lose 114 pounds, now I'm depressed. Now it's so large. It's so long into the future. It's kind of depressing. Give yourself smaller goals. Can I just lose 5 pounds? Let's just try 5 pounds and see how we do with that 5 pounds. And then give yourself the goal of losing another 5 pounds, something like that. But like I said, I'm encouraged to see that number go up. Again, now this time I took Manjaro, and I'm rotating. So it's leg, stomach, arm on the left side, and then arm, stomach, leg, and then I'm just rotating through the entire piece of it, because you're trying not to inject in the same location so that you never get scar tissue. So this means that essentially every 6 shots, you go through a rotation, which breaks up the areas that you're actually putting the shot in. For whatever reason, I believe I feel it most in my thigh and in my arm. And I suspect, my big theory here, is that it is because there's not as much fat, or at least there's more muscle surrounding those 2 areas than my gut. The gut is just kind of flabby, right? I think that the drug kind of has more fat cells to go through. You see, I'm making up science. But for whatever reason, for me, I did the shot in the thigh today, and I felt it come on pretty strongly right away. But what I want to talk about are things that Manjaro can't fix. And this is always such a big discussion. I don't know if I said it last week, but I was reading Reddit, and that seems to be my favorite place to look to see what other people's experiences have been. And it's been kind of sad, because I saw one woman say that her husband, I think, told her that she was lazy because she wanted to take this drug. Just gut it up. Stop eating so much. Go out and exercise. And I would love to talk to all the people who say that, because you're right, you can. But once you get yourself in a metabolic state, which is a real life physical thing, it's not some sort of made up imaginary disease, I guess, is that you lose the ability to lose weight like a normal human being. That your body just is so swimming in insulin and sugar, and you got yourself into it, or some people got to it genetically, it becomes hard to get out of. And this drug resets that. It puts it back so that you actually lose weight like I did when I was in my 30s. Not without effort. I still have to watch what I eat. I still exercise. Again, when I was a big lump and eating garbage because I was sick, I didn't really lose much weight at all. So you still are a participant in this program. So what it'll do is it'll fix the insulin resistance issue that you're having. I don't know if it's the same thing as fixing your diabetes if you have diabetes. And it did that for me. Now I'm having low blood sugar on occasion, and it makes you feel full, so you don't feel like going out and going to the refrigerator and getting something to eat. But the last thing that it does is it gets rid of what they call the food cravings, the food chatter in your head. For me, I have some of it. Obviously, go get a snack, go do this, go do that. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a steak tonight? Wouldn't it be nice to go out to a burger with your friends? That has completely gone away from me. And so what's nice about it, too, is I got some little mini candy bars for those times where I was feeling a little peaked after gym, like little mini Snickers bars. Before, I couldn't trust myself with them, because even though I don't have much of a chatter with food, I do have some. And so I say, why don't you get a candy bar? I couldn't be trusted with it. I started bringing snacks into my house that I didn't like. So pretzels, they're fine. I don't enjoy them. I don't look forward to them. So I bought those because at least I knew I wouldn't eat the whole bag of pretzels. Now, I have no urge to do that whatsoever. So I can have a couple Snicker bars in a drawer and just get them when I feel like it. And it's not every day. It's not even every week. It's just on occasion when I just sort of feel a little, I need a little jump here, because my blood sugar's running low. So that's the first issue. Those are the things that all these semaglutide drugs will do for you. But what won't it do for you? My first thought when I was going on these drugs was that I have an Apple Watch, and I try to get my rings every day. And here's the unfortunate thing about it. There's a standing ring, which says, just get up for 2 minutes every hour. So you're not just sitting there, which I can do because I work in the tech industry. I can sit in a chair for 6 hours and never think about getting up. It's not good for you. Sitting is very devastating to your body if you do it so long. Your muscles, your metabolism, all sorts of things. So what I used to do is get up and get a Diet Coke. I used to get up, maybe get a snack. Sometimes I get up and look out my back window and walk out on my deck and just sort of stroll around a little bit. But some of those times were snack times. And I thought, if I go on this drug, what am I going to do when I'm trying to get my standing hours? Isn't that just the worst thought? that's what you're thinking? And it made me think about this entire topic, about different kinds of overeaters. I'm the kind of overeater because I'm bored, right? Or because my watch tells me I have to stand up, I might as well go get a snack. I'm up here working on my podcast for hours and hours and hours. Oh, let's go get some popcorn, or let's go get some ice cream or something like that. Because I'm bored, or because I just feel like doing something a little bit different. What happens when that goes away? And what am I going to do on my standing ring hours when I need to get up and just sort of walk around? So I started finding other things to do, like dishes. Okay, that's not as much fun. Spending more time walking out on my deck and going in my backyard and just kind of taking a breather. Nature, trees, it's always kind of good. So I'm a boredom eater. That's my primary problem. I eat when I'm bored, or I'm eating when I just want something new. Manjaro's not going to cure that. The other thing is that some people eat because they have anxiety. It's stress eating. Work made them stressed out. Other people are making them stressed out. They're worried about something that's going to happen. I mean, I've even seen that with smoking too. My old job was in an oncology clinic. And so people were going in and out getting oncology treatments. And the first thing they did when they walked out of that building was smoke. Boy, you think about having cancer and then the first thing you do is smoke. I'm not looking down on those people, but that's what it is. It's a stressful time. You're not feeling great. You're being confronted with a disease you have that maybe could threaten your life. And so the one time you need a cigarette more than any time is probably then. But it's also the thing that causes us to overeat. We eat to swallow our emotions, our anxieties, our fears, and it helps that. Manjaro's not going to fix it. It's going to take away from the chatter, but you're going to have to realize, I need to deal with my anxiety. Because either the drug is helping enough so you don't have to think about anxiety eating right away, but what are you going to do when you have anxiety and you now no longer feel like eating? It is not going to fix that. So you have to come up with other strategies of working through your anxiety. Maybe you consider counseling. Maybe you consider some other form of exercise or something else to get rid of your anxiety, or maybe even try to tackle the thing that's causing the anxiety. I am not a psychologist, so please go see someone who is professionally that way, but figuring out ways of how to deal with any sort of anxiety you have. Sometimes people just eat because it's there. This is where I started doing a really good job. I call my other persona grocery shopping Jill. She would always look at the package and go, there's no 3 grams of fiber in this. This is a lot of sugar. And she wouldn't buy food. I told myself I could eat any kind of food I wanted to eat, but I wasn't allowed to grocery shop for it. So if I wanted a bag of Doritos, I had to go outside of normal grocery shopping hours, and go pick up that bag of Doritos, and then I could have some. I was far more lazy than I was hungry, so I never did it. But sometimes just having food in the house or being at a restaurant, that was always my thing. I'm pretty good at not eating certain foods in my house because I refuse to buy those things. But when you're in a restaurant and there's French fries and all the foods that you love to have, it's harder to resist because it's right there. At one point, I did something horrific because I read about this on the internet somewhere, where you cut your meal in half and you ask for a box right away. That's pretty okay. But in some cases, I didn't have a refrigerator when I was traveling for work, so I would dump salt on half of it or ask the staff to take this half away. Sometimes you have to really do something drastic in order to keep yourself from overeating, because it just being there is sometimes why it's there. Sometimes you're overeating because there's too many options. Well, I just don't want to eat this, and the other thing. I want to have the apple pie too. So just having that availability is there. Sometimes we overeat because the rest of our family is overeating. I was watching someone talk about this on Reddit, where she ended up making herself sick on this drug. Not like permanently sick, but she felt like crap for a long time. And the reason is that her family was in town. So she wanted to go out with her family, and their big thing is to get a gigantic meal and eat a ton of food. And she socially felt encouraged to do that, whether they did or she just did it to herself. And she felt pretty sick about it. What happens when your family activity, your social group, the other people around you are eating too much? again, this will take away a lot of the desire for that. But sometimes that voice of, oh, come on, how long is your friend in town? Let's just have some fun. And that can be a big lure too. Sometimes when we're not getting enough sleep, we tend to overeat. And I think it's because I used to do this too. I had insomnia for, oh gosh. And the reason that people eat when they have insomnia is I think it's an energizing thing. You're running out of energy. And so your body's like, we could energize again by getting some food in our system. So some people just energize themselves through overeating. That was me totally. I did a lot better on reducing what I ate when I solved my insomnia problems. Here's the last one, is you go someplace and someone keeps offering you food, or you're in a restaurant and they keep trying to upsize your meal, right? Oh, well, it's just another 99 cents if you got french fries. It's just another this if you get the dessert afterwards. They're always trying to upsize your meal. Or if you go over to eat at somebody's house, oh, did you not like the meal? I'm sorry. I noticed you didn't eat very much. Oh, no, I love your meal. Here, I'll have another piece of chicken or something like that. There can be a lot of pressure to be a good guest or to go to a restaurant and upsize your meal. When I was at my conference, they had an hors d'oeuvre plate. And that was my go-to. Whenever I was feeling like being good on one of my customer trips at my last job, I ordered appetizer plates or hors d'oeuvre plates or kids' menus if they were any good. Usually the kids' menu isn't that good compared to what the regular restaurant food is. But the appetizer plates usually are the same things that the restaurant has, just in smaller quantities. So in this case, when I was at that restaurant, they had kebabs. And I thought, well, how can you really mess up a kebab? Meaning sauces and those kinds of things. This did have a light sauce on it, but it was pretty light. The regular kebab plate was like $29 and it was 3 kebabs. Way too much food. But the appetizer was 1 kebab. Little vegetables, little meat. It was perfect. And that made all the difference in the world. So you can find things to go out to eat. You just have to teach yourself to say no to upsizing it. Because at one point too, the waiter asked me, he said, well, just for an extra $7, you get 2 more of these. And I'm like, no, yeah, I really can't. I don't want them in my refrigerator at my hotel. I explained to him I'm on this drug. It limits what I can eat. And then he was like, oh, okay. And then I suggested to him, I said, there's a lot of people that are getting on this drug. You probably should consider having a bigger appetizer menu, because those people like me, they're going to love your appetizer menu if it has a lot of choices on it. So anyway, I think that the thing I'm trying to say to you is make sure, whether you're on this drug or whether you're considering this drug, or maybe you're struggling, you're on the drug already and you're struggling with it because you can't seem to control what you eat. This drug will do many good things for you, but in the end, it won't do everything for you. It can't fix all of the problems you have. So my biggest piece of advice is to try to figure out what it is that's causing you to overeat so much. Is it stress? Is it anxiety? Is it just boredom? And start to work on those issues. Because if you can work on those issues, which I'm trying to work on my issues too, my doctor says I'm going to be on this drug forever. I don't believe it. There's no way that insurance is going to let me stay on this drug forever. And there's no way I'm paying $1,000 a month to be on this drug forever. So I know this is going to come to an end at some point. Now, hopefully in the future, they come up with what they say is their goal, $1 a day pill, which I think will be better for everybody. It's not a shot. Instead of taking an injection once a week, where at the beginning of the week, you kind of feel very, very full, and then it sort of wears itself off by the time you get to like day 6 and 7. Wouldn't it be better to have a daily pill where it was a more smooth experience? I hope that happens. I hope that's what's going to happen. I mean, if this were $1 a day pill, of course I would stay on it forever. Or maybe I would try to see if I could get off of it. But chances are that's not going to happen. I'm not going to stay on this drug forever. So it's good for me to figure out what is causing me to overeat and then tackle those things. Because I feel like right now I have a 2-year or, year and a half or whatever it is my insurance company is going to be willing to pay for, kind of bumper pads, like those bumper cars. I can't hurt myself on this. I'm not going to go overboard on this drug. What can I learn? Can I shrink my stomach? Can I shrink my addictions? Can I work on some of my mental issues I have with food and eating so that by the time the insurance company is ready to drop me off this drug, I fixed something. I've made my life better and made it so that I could potentially live without this drug after all is said and done. Anyway, I appreciate you listening. Remember, you can always find me. I have 4 podcasts, but all my podcasts are on a website called abetterlifeinsmallsteps.com. It's the hub for all my podcasts. The big one is Start with Small Steps. It's most relevant to this particular topic. It's about fixing and helping your life in small steps. And you can always email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. Thanks so much for watching.